So phase 2 correction would be this, if it continues to trend sideways or a little bit stronger, which sets us up for phase 3 of the banana zone. That would be a corrective phase when everyone starts thinking it's all over, we'll give up now. Bitcoin dominance has peaked, and it peaked. It went up, put in another 9, and I think it's going to continue to fall from here. So that's like the start of the alt season. They've had this monstrous movement back to all-time highs there and thereabouts. You probably get a bit of congestion, a bit of profit taking, and then we get the leg higher. That leg higher should be, all of June should be strong, all of July should be strong, August should be more complicated, which is what we've been saying, which should be phase 2, phase 2 of the correction of the banana zone. Things are kind of in this corrective pattern. Doesn't look a long-term thing. It looks like it's kind of next week or something like that.
The SEC's pause on crypto ETF approvals has investors wondering about the reasons behind the sudden delay. Meanwhile, Bitcoin and crypto holders are gearing up for what they expect to be a multi-year bull run starting very soon. Raoul predicts that phase 3 of the banana zone is arriving sooner than most think. As bullish momentum builds with new all-time highs, institutions are quietly positioning themselves. Bitcoin currently trades just above $116,500, up nearly 10% in the past month. With the next bull market on the horizon and crypto and technology emerging as top investments this year, Raoul remains firmly bullish on digital asset. The former Goldman Sachs executive shares a portfolio update, emphasizing the critical importance of the upcoming crypto cycle phase and forecasting massive capital inflows in 2025. With major pension funds and institutional investors joining the cycle, Powell predicts crypto is on track to become a $10 trillion digital asset class. This cycle, he says, will stand apart from previous ones as devalued fiat currencies drive greater adoption and unprecedented capital into the crypto market. Let's dive into the latest interview with Raoul as he shares his market outlook for the weeks ahead. Cybercriminals are getting smarter, and everyday investors are the new target. You worked hard for your crypto. Don't lose it to a scam. Recently, attackers bribed offshore agents at major crypto platforms, stealing names, birth dates, even social security numbers. They drained real accounts in seconds. No blockchain hack, just human error. Once it's gone in crypto, it's gone. That's why ITrust Capital created the Premium Custody Account, the most secure way to protect your asset. It's a closed-loop system, meaning funds can only move between you and your account. Even if someone gained access, they can't steal your crypto. Backed by institutional-grade custody at no extra cost. Sleep easy knowing your investments are locked down. Click the link, use code DOSE7, and get a $100 funding bonus. Start protecting your future with ITrust Capital.
So, firstly, Bitcoin dominance. This was try to get to the 9. It kind of would have been 9 that day. I put out that tweet saying Bitcoin dominance has peaked, and it peaked. It went up, put in another 9, and I think it's going to continue to fall from here. So that's like the start of the alt season. But really, it won't fall until we start getting below this kind of 61.5 level, something like this, 62. If it does that, then the much bigger game is at play, I think, which sets us up for phase 3 of the banana zone. So phase 2 correction would be this, if it continues to trend sideways or a little bit stronger. That would be a corrective phase when everyone starts thinking it's all over, we'll give up now. And then we should get phase 3, which is the final leg in the dollar, potentially a leg lower in rates, and the more speculative frenzy that comes at the last part of this. You see, there's that nice wiggle that it's not uncommon to get a slight correction. Whether this correction runs further, I think it's just forming a flag. It shouldn't be working wiggle for wiggle, but it appears to be right now, which is weird as shit, and I don't trust it. It's just, I think everybody finds it frustrating because they want to just go up every day or every week, and it just doesn't work that way. It goes in spurts, and if you miss those opportunities, which is why I don't like ever being out of the market, because you miss it. So that's one that's interesting to me. Solana, again, it's got this 13 like Bitcoin has. Looks like it's a wedge. There was that spike, but generally it was like this inverse head and shoulders. A bit of chopping around here. Next leg will be higher. When that is, whether we need to go a bit lower first. Sui was the kind of same to me. If I actually go to my normal Sui chart, I think this is some sort of flaggy pattern. This is obviously we have to ignore because that's spike and down and back up again. But somewhere here is some sort of just corrective pattern like we've seen a million times in the past. Doesn't yet look like it wants to break higher. So I don't know what's chopping the market, but maybe it's just the M2 chart that we looked at before. There's just a bit of chop to be had still, just as everyone starts getting really bullish because everybody's opening one of these new kind of MicroStrategy copies and everything else. So I think that ETH, I've not been using these charts in little for a bit, but ETH just continues to look good. The inverse head and shoulders is a bit all my scaling screwed. It all looks good. I mean, it's just rejected here. Maybe this all comes back down to 2,300 or so before then finally making the break. Doesn't feel wildly unlikely. And then because those are doing that, everything's doing the same. I mean, ETH Bitcoin, same. There's like an inverse head and shoulders here. So I think, again, this is the classic sign of alt season. I think somewhere here, once it breaks this, then we're going back up here. And that'll be the start of something much bigger, I think, finally. And that's the classic sign of some sort of alt season. What else have I been looking at? So, as you said, things are kind of in this corrective pattern. Doesn't look a long-term thing. It looks like it's kind of next week or something like that. So we wait and see. On the other stuff, it's going to give us a signal for what happens at the back end of the year. But if we go back to that chart you were showing of 2017, it's kind of suggesting that, these corrective patterns eventually fall away. The market digests this huge move that we had. It's a monstrous move. And then we go to another leg lower where we think it probably goes to somewhere between 95 and 90. So again, there's nothing I see is particularly, well, certainly nothing in equity land is bearish, but we're getting at levels of all-time highs where you get a bit of congestion. That will make sense. Nothing in crypto concerns me in any way, shape or form. It's just chopping around here. Feels like we're just going to be weaker for a bit, digesting various bits of news before we have the next leg.
We're digesting a big move in markets.
And, it's really interesting to see how strong the ETH narrative comes back. And I've been saying it for a while, is like, people can write off ETH, they're ridiculous. ETH has enormous amounts going for it. And now we've seen this new MicroStrategies version by Joe Lubin of buying ETH. I also think the financial system uses ETH a lot more. And I think ETH outperforms Bitcoin all the rest of the cycle now. And that's not uncommon.
Raoul highlights that crypto is being adopted faster than any other investable asset in human history. By the end of 2025, he predicts there will be 1.1 billion active crypto wallets. The speed of this growth is staggering and promises to be the fastest wealth accumulation we've ever witnessed. This insight comes from a career's worth of research, with every chart and study pointing to the same conclusion. Liquidity is the key driver, and crypto is set to be the top-performing asset. For months, Raoul has been emphasizing to investors that all the pieces are finally falling into place, ushering in a phase marked by explosive, parabolic price surges in the crypto market.
Really interesting. I was in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Qatar, and I was at the Abu Dhabi Investment Council, which is one of the big sovereign wealth funds. And they just made it very clear that everybody in the region, and Tom will know this because he's out there as well, is that they've all been given the mandate. Number one is AI, and number two is blockchain. Our core thesis is what they're building their entire future country stack on. And this is the whole Trump visit that went there. It's all about the same thing. So they know they've got abundant energy, which is part of your thesis, David. They know they've got abundant energy. They know that they're going to have to adopt technology at scale. They've got young populations that are growing, and they think they can be not only a regional leader, but a world leader in these two things. And so the mandate is invest in this, build this. And it's really exciting to see. I mean, everyone there is still trying to get their heads around what it means. I mean, but this is everything from the oil company through to the sovereign wealth funds, through to the general population, through to businesses, through to the education system, the system of government, all of it. That's what's up to grabs. And that's not just in Abu Dhabi, which tends to be very well thought through in this, but it's Dubai, it's Qatar, and it's Saudi. And Saudi's, really is a big player behind the scenes in this whole thing. So they have this cohesive strategy about what the world is going to look like, and that's what they're accelerating on.
Raoul Pal explains that the current market pattern is normal and needed to shake out weak hands and reset leverage. Bitcoin's strong link to global liquidity means it remains supported despite short-term dip. Both Pal and Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan see a dip then rip pattern, with big rallies often following pullback. Patience is key. As institutions quietly position themselves, Pal says the next crypto cycle phase is crucial. He's bullish on digital assets after increasing his holdings during the last bear market. Pal predicts massive capital inflows, with pension funds and institutions driving crypto toward a $10 trillion market. He sees this cycle as unique, with devalued fiat currencies fueling adoption and pushing prices higher, Bitcoin included. Despite current economic uncertainty, Pal expects a major rally soon, with Bitcoin likely to surge if the market recovers. However, short-term pressure remains possible if volatility persists. Ultimately, Bitcoin's next big move hinges on how the market evolves.